They were just calling his name just to come outside of the house that he was under arrest. I always saw him, the kids. They didn't move here like a long time ago. I think it was like a couple months ago. We were sad, really, mainly for the little ones.
Tonight, we are learning new details about a murder-suicide in Coconut Creek that's getting national attention. The suspected shooter was 34-year-old Jean-Dominique Ferreau, a prominent doctor who we have featured in the past in Miami Proud for his work at Broward Health during the COVID pandemic.
My mother was a nurse. She was a nurse all her career. So I would see how she impacted people, how hard she worked, how respected she was for her work. And I wanted to do something similar.
Coconut Creek neighborhood suddenly becoming a crime scene.
Neighbors say they had just seen a family together during the holidays, and then days later, police swarmed the street.
I just saw a whole row of cops this entire street. It must have been the entire Coconut Creek department.
Broward Health released this statement that said, quote, "We are deeply saddened by the tragic loss of life reported this weekend, and our hearts go out to all those affected."
This is an incident that really caught this community off guard, and I say that because, as you mentioned, they just saw this family out and about during the holidays with their children. Just days later, tragedy would strike.
Police tell us that 2-year-old and the 14-year-old are now in the care of other family members. We have reached out to possible family for a comment about all of this, and we're waiting to hear back from them.
Neighbors say the couple was kind, and the kids often played in the back courtyard. They say there weren't any signs of trouble.
Veloudre Petitval, also known as Ludra, was a 38-year-old South Florida woman whose life bridged Miami and Palm Beach County. People who knew Ludra described her as someone with a soft, warm, and peaceful presence. Professionally, Ludra held roles in medical billing and quality assurance for several health-related organizations, positions that placed her within the broader healthcare infrastructure of South Florida. Though she worked behind the scenes rather than in public-facing roles, she had over 15 years of experience. Outside of her medical-related work, she also owned her own photography business called Capture 360. Those who spent time around her often spoke of the gentle steadiness she brought into everyday moments, a quiet calm that made others feel at ease. Her presence left an impression that was subtle, yet deeply felt, the kind of warmth people remembered long after she was gone. In her personal life, she was described as a devoted mother of 2 children, a teenage son from a previous relationship, and a toddler son she shared with her partner, Dr. Jean-Dominique Ferreau. Dr. Ferreau, known as Dr. JD, was a 34-year-old emergency medicine physician raised in Pompano and Deerfield Beach, where he remained closely connected to the Haitian community and often spoke Haitian Creole with patients. He was recognized for his compassionate care during the COVID-19 pandemic and also served as a battalion surgeon in the Florida Army National Guard. Colleagues claimed he was a skilled healer and dedicated leader.
Over the past year and a half, we featured so many of the heroic people working on the front lines of this pandemic.
And just last month, a young man stepped into his dream job at Broward Health as a doctor in the same town where he grew up.
I am a first-year emergency medicine resident here in the ER department. My mother was a nurse. She was a nurse all her career. So I would see how she impacted people, how she impacted families, how she impacted the community, how hard she worked, how respected she was for her work. And I wanted to do something similar. Everybody around me supported. That's what I wanted to do. So in regards to like keeping me out of trouble from certain things, I knew how long it was, what I needed to do to get into medical school. I would remember that there's people literally waiting for me to finish, you know, and not waiting me because they want anything from me, but because like I'd be the first doctor that they know. So it was like, it was bigger than me. I was able to help patients during the pandemic. That's something that you know, that's a once in a lifetime experience. So it's like, you know, it's a little nerve-wracking, overwhelming at first, but when you really look at it from a grand scheme of things, you know, to be able to help people at this time, you know, to be able to be a provider at this time, it's really experienced that. It's a once in a lifetime experience. Now, I also want to be able to get into to Deerfield High School, Deerfield Middle, you know, get in touch with kids who are interested in medicine and give them an exposure. If I could inspire one, you know, to come back and do what I'm doing, that's a win for me. To be able to serve in this community, that's everything. You You know, to be able to have a patient come in and know that I'm from here, to be able to fluently speak to a patient that doesn't speak English very well, that means everything. I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do, and I get to do it exactly where I wanted to do it.
While no verified public records reveal how Ludra and JD first met, it is known that they became long-term partners and co-parents. Their life together unfolded mostly out of the public eye, typical of two working parents with demanding schedules. They lived with their children in a townhouse in the Paloma Lakes community of Coconut Creek, where neighbors recalled seeing them during the holidays and described them as a quiet, typical family who had moved in only months earlier. From the outside, everything appeared stable, which is why many neighbors expressed shock when the tragedy unfolded at their residence in the new year, noting they had seen no signs of conflict or turmoil. In the pre-dawn hours of January 3, 2026, Coconut Creek police responded to reports of a domestic disturbance and possible gunfire at the family's residence on the 4,800 block of Acadian Trail. When initial attempts to make contact were unsuccessful, officers established a perimeter and called in SWAT and crisis negotiators. Neighbors later described hearing officers repeatedly calling out to the suspect, urging him to exit the home as sirens and loudspeakers filled the neighborhood. After hours of unsuccessful communication attempts, police deployed tactical measures, including flashbang devices. Once officers entered the residence, they found both Ludra and JD deceased from gunshot wounds. Investigators concluded that he had fatally shot Ludra before taking his own life, and no additional suspects were sought. Inside the home, authorities also found the couple's toddler alive and unharmed. According to reports, he was placed into the care of relatives. The home remained an active crime scene in the days that followed, with visible damage to the front door and remnants of tactical intervention scattered around the property. Neighbors told reporters that the event had deeply shaken the community, leaving many grappling with how such a tragedy could unfold behind what appeared to be ordinary suburban walls. Family, friends, and loved ones are all devastated by this tragedy. A friend of the two, Serge, has spoken out about the incident and said he was completely surprised by what happened. He also shared a message online in which he addressed both sides.
Needless to say, I'm going to get into this video and kind of address a few things that was brought to my attention, because I have not had the time to really sit down and go through what's been going on. But it was brought to my attention that there is Team JD and Team Ludra that are pretty much bumping heads and having several disputes over this tragic situation. It is very unfortunate that this tragic took place, and at the time it did. I really am speechless about what took place. However, I really want people to know out there, both Team Ludra and Team JD is grieving. Like, we are grieving really, really bad. So every time you guys are making comments, making statements about the other party, just know you just keep adding alcohol, vinegar, and, you know, the worst thing that you could think of to instill pain. That's what you keep doing to an open wound over and over and over and over again. That's what you keep doing. So I'm all for it, though. One thing I can say, I am for talking about this situation for an educational standpoint, right? I am a clinician at heart. So at times I would put my clinician hat on and think about this tragedy from a research perspective. So to keep me from rambling on, I did a few bulletin that I want to address, and maybe you could kind of see exactly what I'm talking about as far as how you could use this situation to educate kids, young adults that are dating, or are parents that have to learn how to co-parent. You could use this situation to talk about the phenomenon or correlations between people that are in the helping profession, right? So there was a few bulletins that I kind of highlighted from this situation just to kind of figure out like, hey man, just from an awareness standpoint, or just from even just acknowledging your own biases to figure out where you stand so that potentially it could help someone else in the future that may be experiencing stuff that were taking place in the past with these two. Now, I want to start off by saying, this video is to encourage positivity, because the statements that I'm hearing, the comments that are going back and forth, is creating separation, it's creating division, and it's creating hate in the midst of people grieving, right? And I could tell you now, for whoever that's not really close to the family and friends of Ludra and JD, I could tell you now, like Team JD, like the people that are family of JD and that love JD and love him like a brother, like a son, or like a friend. Team JD is about Team Ludra. Like, we are in full support of Team Ludra. We are in full support of the family and friends of Ludra. Because anybody that was close enough to the family would know that nobody would have guessed this in a million years. I'm telling you personally, I could have a devil or somebody could have came to me and said, hey, you know what? And X amount of years, somebody would do X, Y, and Z, and it would be JD. And I would be like, nah, there's no way. Or it would be Ludra that it happened to. I would have guessed I would gamble on, I would say, hey, you could take my mother's life. It won't happen, right? That's how confident that I was in those two. JD was a brother to me. Ludra was a good friend to me. I got to know her, through JD and Jalen, and I got to know the family. They are great people, and it's unfortunate that this tragedy took place, but I can't help but to learn what it is to learn about this tragedy. So I kind of create a few bulletins that I want to kind of go over, because if you are going to write a narrative, again, like I said, I am all for it. But let's bring highlights to the facts, right? Let's kind of address the issue for what it is. Let's address issues and topics. Let's create topics around this tragedy to better educate or bring awareness to the people that may be experiencing some of these things. So one of the things that came to my thought was, what is unhealthy love, or what the difference between obsessiveness and unhealthy love? And the best way I could put this is like, if I purchase a car, right, and I love the car so much and it got stolen, and I find the person that stole my car in my car, based on my action, what will determine whether I love the car or I was too obsessive over the car, if that makes sense, right? So you could apply that however you want to apply it, right? So if I love my child and he's an adult, And I see this all the time given my profession as a clinician, where the adult child is calling their parents all the time to bail them out or give them money or just, maybe they have a substance abuse issue. When do you as a parent feel like, hey, you know what, although I raised you, although I cared for you, although I did the best I can, this is getting too much to the point where I should, step back? When should we know, like, hey, this love isn't healthy, although I'm responsible for you, so on and so forth? How do I know when to step back? Or vice versa, if you're dating and somebody is stalking you, or if somebody want to know where you at all the time, and they want to call you all the time, or so on and so forth, because there's times where there's not conflict involved, but this person's behavior is somewhat unhealthy, or the person obsessiveness with that particular thing is unhealthy, right? So that's one thing that kind of sparked at me when I kind of thought about that situation. Another thing that was brought to my attention is, like, what is the phenomenon between emergency medicine and, early profession, right? So if I'm going to be a doctor, like, what is the phenomenon of, like, being as an emergency doctor, and, like, what should you prepare for, and how does that impact mental health, right? Because I know firsthand that, being an ER, like emergency doctor, like, you're seeing death, you're seeing, like, all types of, like, major accident, or the outcome of individuals from, like, major accidents and so on and so forth. So, this event kind of brought me closer to thinking about, like, okay, what does that do to one's psyche after experiencing that over time, over and over and again, right? Or military, because we all know that, he was part of the military. So, what does that look like? And outside of the military or being an emergency doctor, but we have all our policemen, we have firefighters, we have all these people in these helping professions that kind of do similar tasks, and maybe their stress level is not always as high as one or the other, but it's equally important. Like, so me as a mobile responder, what is my psyche like knowing that somebody's coming and they're saying, hey, they want to kill themselves, and I have to evaluate them, and I have to determine whether I need to Baker Act or sign them in voluntarily, or I need to maybe, just do other intervention, create a safety plan, and so on and so forth. So what does that look like, and what should we do, right? So those are the few things that, kind of was brought to my attention. So I know in the future, what to kind of look like, because sometimes it's not always black and white, and we can't always see the details to know exactly what to do and what not to do, especially when there's not violence at the time of conflict, right? But these are some of the things that was brought, whenever I, get a chance to put my clinician hat on. These are the things that I think about and how I would educate the public.
This is such an extremely sad situation. I will make sure to keep my thoughts and prayers with her family and friends, especially her children. And with them being children, I just hope and pray they get the help that they deserve and need. What drew me to this case was the fact that we shared so many mutual friends. So I just kept seeing his face down my timeline, and it just made me want to go search and see what happened. So when I went and I saw what happened, I was really taken back, because I would have never have thought that he took someone's life. I didn't see any post of her. I didn't see any article talking about her. So I really wanted to make sure that her name is featured, her name is said. I also saw a few people in the military that knew him as well. As you guys know, I lived on a military base. I went to school on a military base. My dad served in the Army for 30 years, my mom as well. I don't use PTSD, anxiety, trauma, anything like that as an excuse to murder, because there are so many resources out here for help. But we have to really seek it and get it. If you are somebody that is in public service, period, and I'm not just talking military, I'm talking firefighter, police officer, any field that service people, nursing, doctors, y'all need to be talking to someone. The hours that y'all put in saving other people, y'all don't even put it into saving yourselves. And for real, I'm not talking your friends, I'm not talking your family, I'm talking third party, unbiased, someone that is separate from the situation. I promise you, it can really help a lot. I really wish outlets would have highlighted her more. That's why I really wanted to share you guys as much as I found out about her. You all, let me know your thoughts and your opinions down below. Let's please respect the victim in the comments. I thank you all so much for watching. I love you dearly. And with that being said, please don't forget to check on your loved ones.
Moving forward and how to address that. So the moral of the story is, guys, if you're going to create a narrative, that's what I mean by like, hey, let's create it, to bring awareness. Let's create it to kind of bring conversations from like a research base. And not only that, but just to check on your folks. There's plenty of people that, that's probably in those professions now that's in your life, or there's plenty of people that's, that probably like, I got a sibling that, he's a Christian. He's a very much Christian. He's one of those Christians, like he's a blind Christian. It's like he's not applying any type of mental health intervention a lot of times to his approach because he believed that much in God. But I also know, like, hey man, while you do believe in God and rightfully so, there's a lot of components in life that you need to apply and not just be solely on just, hey, God going to fix it. Hey, God going to do this and God going to do that, And they even say in the Bible, faith without works is dead. So you have to have faith, but at some point you have to also apply other profession to get you through. So the moral of the story is, guys, this tragic incident seems like it's creating hate and it's creating separation. And that's not what we're here for, to the point where it's starting to raise safety concerns. And I know like certain family members, certain friends have asked about whether it would be safe to attend, the events and stuff like that. And I can assure you that it should be safe to attend, especially I can't speak for the other party's funeral, but it should be safe to attend JD funeral. We will have law enforcement assisting with this matter, but just in general, like it should be safe. But I wanted to bring notice to the public while this tragic happened, and yes, JD and Ludra is gone. There's people that still left. There's people that's been impacted by this. So we still have kids like Poppy, Jalen, Zanaya, that's been impacted by this. And my goal is to figure out a way how we could come together and, again, raise some form of awareness, but also show our community through the midst of this BS, we still could be cordial and find a way to get through this tough time together. We don't have to do it in separation. We don't have to hate each other. I mean, after all, we did not do this tragic to ourselves. And I just want to make sure that, we come together in this tough time. And for the people that are fighting, please stop. It's starting to raise safety concern. And to be honest with you, anybody that's close to at least JD would know that, hey, man, look, JD would have it no other way for us to come together in this tough time. So I'm asking you guys, please, I'm begging you guys, please, let's come together. If we're going to write narratives, if we're going to write certain statements, let's do it to bring love. Let's do it to bring peace, and let's do it to bring awareness. Because at the end of the day, facts is facts. The truth is out there, right? As in, what I mean by truth, or is like the damage is done. As to why it happened, how it happened, who was in the wrong, what this had going on with this, and who this, it really matters not. It matters not. And it's pretty much part of the grieving process. We're trying to find somebody to blame. We're trying to find a way to cope with this. But in the midst of you guys doing it, unfortunately, that's the part with the internet. In the midst of you guys doing this, we are hurting other people in the process. So I just want to make sure if you guys got anything from this tape is to say, hey man, let's come together as far as creating separation. It shouldn't be Team JD and Team Ludra fighting. It should not be. We should come together as one and find ways to make peace with it. And yeah, and if you ask me, it should be, as I'm doing now, it should be Team JD to make sure that we are, doing our due diligence to care for and show some compassion and some love, really, in this time for any individuals that was hurt by this tragedy. It is our responsibility. Unfortunately, our brother put us in that situation. So I'm taking full responsibility as to what's happening. And I want to say thank you all again for your time and support. This happened one too many times. Unfortunately, the headlines are a doctor and this and that is doing it. And unfortunately, that's media for you. You gotta make people want to click on it, right? So that's what they're running with. But this was two individuals that was loved by many. Two individuals that were loved by many that pretty much passed away from a very, very unforeseen circumstance. And it's hurting the community. It's really hurting the community to levels that I can't even imagine. So please, guys, these conversations that you're having on the internet is starting to raise safety concern. Please stop it. I'm begging you. All right? There's kids involved. There's parents involved. There's a lot of things to figure out. People are still grieving, and it's not helping with the cause. All right? So please spread this video around and be on the lookout for more information. And just, again, guys, in this tough time, let's spread love. So show compassion for both parties. And, and continue to support your loved one, whether it's Ludra, whether it's JD, whoever it is, but continue to support your loved one and just do it from a place of love and peace. We don't have to hate each other. It's two kids that still need love, and we need a village to help support that, okay? Thank you.